I don't know. What do you folks think? What on earth is the stone that was set into this $10 ring that's made of solid? Hello and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, what I like to do is to create videos that I would have found helpful when I first got out looking for treasure. Things like this silver here or this gold. Apparently this screwdriver. I am trying to, now that my children are back at school, do a little bit of cleaning. And as a consequence, I have been pulling out, I have this bag. And in this bag, I've been putting in what I call plunder. And plunder is when I'm out and about and doing stuff. What do I pick up? What do I buy? Why do I buy it? This is stuff from thrift shops and garage sales. This is stuff from antique stores and antique malls. And I have been attempting to make videos of my plunder somewhat regularly. However, this particular video, you'll see, is sort of a bit of a mess. I am, as I mentioned, the kids are in school and I'm trying to clean. So I found this bag of things that I haven't made videos on, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to go through this. And what I'll do in this video is I will, well, usually I'll tell you how much I paid for something. If the price tags aren't on it, we may be out of luck. I don't pay a lot for anything really, and if I do, I'll remember it. So, you know, like here we have something that was $1. Now, I don't even remember buying these, but if I paid $1, odds are they are silver. So why don't we have a look? And that's what I'll do, is I'll go through and I'll explain why I bought whatever I bought. So these were $1, and they are marked right there. With something that you're probably able to read on your big screen, but I can't. So I'm going to use my loop real quick here. Yeah, you're probably yelling at the screen, 925, 925. Yeah, these are 925. So I'm actually going to keep those together since they're a pair. And we will chuck those into our silver bin. But yeah, I don't know if you know, 925 and CZs, which is probably what those are worth $1, but I figured they are. I never figured somebody's going to want them, right? Let's throw those in our silver. So, speaking of silver, you may have seen the short. This was something that I picked up in a antique mall in Washington State, and I like the look of it. I really like the design. I'm not sure if it's mid-century or aesthetic movement. It only has these markings on the bottom right here. Sterling. You can see there we have like LB503, and that's it. That's the only thing on this. And I think I have a video or two showing this. We've got a nice dent here that I'm gonna take out of it. But I think it's just very attractive. I think it's a candy dish, and for the price, I had to go home with it. And my daughter was very excited. That was the first day. It was just her and me. My son was napping back at the hotel with my wife, and my daughter and I just went and we got some treats at the bakery, and we went to the antique mall and we learned about silver. If you watch my shorts, you'll see quite a few videos of my daughter going through and identifying things. This was that trip. If anyone knows anything about this thing, I would appreciate it, because I've been hitting a little bit of a brick wall, and there are things that I really would like to know more about, and that is definitely one of them. And I'll make sure to get some clear shots here without the stuff in the background at the end of the video. Speaking of silver, I bought these because I found them interesting. They're in pretty nice shape for candlesticks, and they are weighted candlesticks, so this is hollow. If you're buying these things, understand that they are sterling on the outside, but on the inside, not so much. And in fact, this set I found very interesting because they seem to have like some some kind of thermoplastic. This one's broken. And you can actually disassemble them by taking this screw out, and the whole thing just like kind of comes apart. And they are, I believe, if I can find, there they are, the markings. They are English. We have the maker. So we got the maker there, something limited. The anchor, Birmingham. The lion, indicating the sterling, and that's the year. And I can't remember what year it was off the top of my head, but I will see what I can do about putting it in the description. Or if you have fun looking these up, let's make sure that's nice and clear for you. If you're ever looking up like date codes, you see how there's like a particular pattern around the, I don't know, is that an L? Is that a, whatever that symbol is? But that pattern around is actually part of it. And that also helps you with the dates. And then there's the maker. Now, I think I actually ended up paying like $20 for these. And I don't know that there's $20 worth of silver in here. There probably is $20 worth of silver, given how unbelievably high silver has gotten. I think as of filming, it's over 42 right now, last time I checked. So it's getting way up there. Something like this actually is probably worth the $20 just to scrap it. I'm not sure what I'll do with them. They're in nice condition. Probably hang on to them. This is the only thing that I found to be a problem. Oh, you know what? Remember when I said something about a screwdriver earlier? That's what I was going to do. It gives you an idea where my head is. I was going to show you what happens when we unscrew these, because I thought it might be interesting to everyone to see sort of how something like this is constructed, because it is sterling and it is, you know, marked as sterling. And if you look down the middle, we have one big screw, and then see everything just, I think, just comes apart at that point. Yeah, see? And it's well constructed. Like there's a notch there that fits into the notch there. But you can see, you know, that the internal structure is just covered by this little layer of silver. And that's not silver. So if you were to like have to scrap this, you'd peel it. And if you haven't seen, I have a series of videos. If you check my I'll see if I can't put it on the end of this. I have like a silver scrapping series where I was actually going through and scrapping a lot of the stuff that needed scrapping so that I could get before and after weights. And it depends on the piece, but you know, maybe, I can't remember off the top of my head, it was like 10%. I usually figure like 10% of the overall weight is silver. Some pieces less, some pieces more. I think these might be more. They're fairly well made, but I thought these would be a very interesting thing for you to see sort of how some of the stuff is constructed. At least the higher quality stuff. The lower quality ones are not this nice. And often they're not as thick. The silver on them is much thinner, and as a consequence, they tend to be crumpled and smashed. And if you check my scrapping videos, you'll see that most of what I'm doing is actually scrapping the ones that are crumpled and smashed, and they're just not usable as candlesticks or as the objects they were originally created to be anymore. Okay. Let's see, what other stuff do we have? Why don't we get this big bag out of the way? I need to go test these. I'll probably go test these in a moment. I thought this was really cool. It's not silver or anything, but I liked how it was etched, and I thought it was very pretty. I had to get it. I had to test it, but it didn't. If I remember correctly, it didn't test out as silver. I'm not sure exactly what it is. It's maybe alpaca. But you know what? I'm going to test it again right now because I'm going to test these. And we'll talk about these in a second. And then I'll test this one more time and just make sure that I'm not remembering having tested it, which is a possibility with me lately. But yeah, these I bought this was, I think, probably 50 cents. It's usually what I think it was a half off day at the thrift shop. These I paid a whole dollar each for at a garage sale. And my assumption is that they are plate. Now, I couldn't find any real markings on them. And I'm actually kind of hoping that some people might know a little bit more about what's going on with these. We'll test them here in a second. We'll see if they test up as plate. At first I thought these might be markings, but they're just how it was like cast, I think. Because it looks like it was cast more than actually repoussé. Like that pattern looks like it was cast into it as opposed to punched into it from the back. The quality just isn't great. Like you can see here, it's cute. And it's definitely at least silver plate. But the only marking I could find on the whole dang thing on either of them, I think, is that right there. And I think that's some kind of hallmark. It looks very deliberate. But I cannot, for the life of me, make out what it actually is. And I think part of why I can't make out what it is I think it was stamped in there, maybe, and then plated over. I don't know. I'll give it another good scrub here. I scrubbed it once, I think, with a toothbrush to try to get some gunk out of there, if there is gunk out of there, and it didn't seem to do much of anything. But, you know, the thing about this piece that has been bothering me is that despite my assumption that it's plated, I don't see, you know, where we have wear, I don't see any base metal coming up through it. Now, I think objects like this were just pretty much entirely decorative, so it doesn't have the same kind of wear. It probably just hung on the wall somewhere. But yeah, and then Google Lens isn't a lot of help with these because there's a lot of these that were like Italian, and those are plate. These ones, I'm not sure if they are. I think they're maybe Dutch, possibly. But what we will do, because I just need to know, is we will go ahead and go acid test these real quick here, and I'll come back and I'll let you know what the results are. We'll also do that one. Okay, we have results. Not silver, as I thought. Cool, but not silver. Now these two were, I did quite a bit of testing on these. So this one is good. It is solid silver of some variety. Now, I don't know what, because there are no markings that I can see on it. But, as you can see here, I went pretty deep in there on the end, got through what would have been plating, and we came up very strong solid silver there. And then down here, I did the same thing there. And I got very strong silver there, and I tested it twice. And yeah, that thing seems to be good. Now, again, I'm thinking probably not sterling. I'm thinking if it is, in fact, Dutch, what do we think? Maybe something else? I don't know. I have mixed emotions about this. It bothers me that if it is silver, it doesn't have any kind of marking indicating what the silver content is. So, was that? No. So if you have any comments on this, I would appreciate it. But yeah, I got a real bright red color off of the acid test. And I also did it with 18 karat and it went blue. So I don't know, unless it's like extremely thick plate. One of the things I did note was that maybe this piece and this piece were different materials. That's why I did the front and back and did it a couple times. with the silver test acid, and then again with the 18 karat. But yeah, as far as I can tell, this thing's good. Yeah, comments definitely welcome. I still have suspicions. I don't know. This one, on the other hand, was funky. This piece up here, which I tested multiple times right here, did not test to silver. However, this, which I tested right there, tested as silver. So again, comments much needed. My assumption based on that test is that the whole thing's plate, and this is just really thick plate, or maybe this is silver and this isn't. I don't know. This is outside of my experience. I just grabbed them because they were, $2 and $2 for the pair, and I suspected they might be silver. They looked like they might be silver. I didn't see any signs that they weren't, so I thought they would be worth bringing home. But yeah, I'm a little befuddled by those. So please leave a comment. We'll put those up someplace safe so I can pull them down at any point. Okay, let's continue through this pile of stuff. Oh, and while I was out there, I found another bag. We'll have a look at that and see if we have time for it in this video. At thrift shops, there'll be stuff like this in like just the... Actually, this wasn't a thrift shop. This was at a garage sale. And it was just in the quarter bin. Italy, 925. Can't complain about that. Certainly not for a quarter. And I think all of these bracelets were at the same place. And I thought they would be we could do a fun little check through and see if any of these bangles are silver. There's a couple ways you can check these out. The magnet will help you right off to really get a notion of what you got, because it'll tell you, okay, that's just steel. And you can go through and you can go, okay, that's steel. These ones don't react, so let's set those down here. That one doesn't react. What do we got? Those two are reactive. This one is not. So you can just very quickly go through and go, okay, just make sure you're not getting any hitchhikers, like all of these ones that react very strongly to the magnet to the point where the magnet is like leaping to them. We're not going to be silver. Now, if they're very weakly reactive to the magnet, that's something else. You want to double check weakly reactive ones. So if you're looking at a big pile of stuff, this is how you can start your first sort. And you can go through and go, okay, these ones react, so off they go. The ones that react like so strong, they're kind of a pain in the neck. These other ones, not so much. Okay. Nope, 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 nope. Okay. All right, so that's first sort done. We'll just verify. I'm going to hang all these ones up here. I'm just going to see. You can... Yep. Okay, so now we can have a closer look at all of these and see if anything's marked. Sometimes these are marked, sometimes these aren't marked. You never know. Sometimes they're real obvious, like this one is really obviously plated. See, it's just plated brass. You can see all the brass coming up through. And these are, I find these frequently are the fakes. They'll actually say Sterling. In this case, I don't think it does. But, yeah. But you can see that there's straight up brass coming through. And then if you rub it with your finger, you'll see that it's not, it's nothing. Here, I think we have another one that's probably plated. Kind of an interesting little motif there. can look for marks, but this doesn't have the look of silver, if that makes sense. Those striations, that shine, doesn't look right. We can test it, but I think we have a pile of ones that are similar to this. Let's see here. Let's pull out the ones that are all similar. And that'll happen a lot with this type of deal, is that you'll see ones that are more or less the same. And this whole pile, I think, was one that I bought. I bought this at a garage sale. It was definitely someone's Bangle pile. And I just thought it would make for a good little set of lessons. Yeah, see, these are all like the same manufacturer, same kind of weird shine, same kind of weird striations. Doesn't look like silver. Yeah, we'll test these, or test one of them, but I'm not holding hope. I don't see anything other than indicate these are probably alpaca or nickel silver, or possibly plated. But we'll go ahead and hit those with a test here in a second. These three look pretty okay, but I would expect if they are okay, that they will say so on the inside. And they are weirdly shiny. I don't like that shine. I like my silver to be tarnished. You know, when it's something like this that's neglected, I don't want unusual shine. I want black. I want like here. I want black. I want black tarnish, because that will indicate generally that we've got silver that's tarnishing. In this case, I don't think these are going to be silver. We'll test one, but I think I see some green down here. I think these are probably just plated. Are these all the same? Yeah, these three are the same. And usually if these things are actually silver, they will say so. But yeah, these also have that same kind of weirdness to them. But, oh yeah, see all that green down in there? Yeah, we're looking at plate with these. And there, yeah, you see all the copper coming through right there? So we know those are plate too. Let's just double check with this close up on this and see if we can see any copper. Yeah, maybe. I don't know, it's hard to say. All right, so we have some stuff to test there. One more to look at. This looks good for silver. Looks like garnets and silver. It's interesting. It's pretty. I wonder if it has a marking on the inside. Don't so much like the green down there. The green could have come up from the other bracelets though. So we'll test this one. Although there's quite a bit of green lurking down in there, isn't there? We may have ended up paying the $3 or $4 or however much I paid for that pile for just a bunch of nice bangles. In fact, I think, see all the green down in there? I think this one's probably plate. And that's, yeah, you can see the copper coming through right there. If you rub it, does it get shiny or does it get, well, so if you see a bit that looks like copper and you rub it, if it gets shiny, you may be looking at silver. If it gets more brassy, then, well, that's probably what you're looking at. All right, we will test that one too. You know what, but before we go test, why don't we open this up and we'll see if there's anything in here we need to test. I don't think so. I grabbed this because I saw down inside this bag, there were some cool things. Like I thought that pin was just cool, this kayak pin. It says, what does it say on it? inside, outside. I just thought that was a cool pin. Oh, that was 99 cents for a reason. But yeah, just a bunch of, I think, cheap pins. Never skip over an angel pin. Always check it with a magnet. They did make these and do make these out of 14 karat gold. I have seen one in a big pile of these angel pins. One time, one of them was gold. So they can happen. So don't just discount them out of hand. All right, let's put that in our cool stuff bin, and then the rest of that can go in this bag. These I grabbed. You can see they were 99 cents for the two of them. This one is nothing. You can tell that's just a bit of brass. So in there you go. This one, though, caught my eye. When I was talking about I like that black tarnish, that's the look right there. If you want to look for neglected or overlooked silver, that's the look. That's what it looks like. And in fact, I think right there you can tell what this one is. Sterling. So, is that little sterling ring worth $1? You know what? Why don't we weigh it and see? Is it a gram? Meaning it's worth, well, silver's high right now, but a gram is, you know, if it's at least a gram, it was worth $1. 1.25. So, I think it was worth $1. At least I feel like it was. Okay, and then what else was in here? Oh, that was that. We don't need to test that. That can just go with our silver here. But the reason I bought that $5 bag and paid $5 for it was in here. A little cameo. That's just a cheap one. You know, these are sometimes gold, but they're not glued in. This is just glued on, clearly plate on the back. This guy was interesting. Didn't know what to make of it through 2 layers of plastic. Still not entirely sure what to make of it. I think we will gold test this. It's got a nice shine to it. And the back has a look that I have on occasion seen on 10 karat. So we'll test that one for gold when we test these bracelets. But this was what I wanted to pull out. I thought, oh, look, it's a baby ring. Maybe I'm a weirdo, but baby rings are just cool. And this one, 14 karat RG. And I'm not sure what the last thing is, maybe a P. And I think it's, yeah. I think that actually may indicate what it is. You see that right there? I think that is, let me look through the loop. I think it says 1/30th 14K rolled gold plate. I think that's what that marking is. Now, I find the baby rings great because a lot of them are gold. This one, that was a marking I'd never seen before, which I thought was really cool. And then I bought the bag because I was hoping this was solid gold. Oftentimes, maybe half of them that I've found have been solid gold. But I just love the fact that some baby had that on their finger at some point. And it's, I don't know. I just find that entertaining when I think about my own children, and I think about how neither of them would have put up with having a ring on their finger when this would have fit them. It would have been long lost. I have no idea how it would have stayed on there. Okay, so before I go do some more testing here, I will go ahead, let's show you. You may have been wondering about these rings. I got these rings a variety of different ways. These two were 50 cents each at half off jewelry day. This ring actually was in the pocket of a North Face coat that I bought at the 75 cents a pound store. and I only discovered it because it was rattling around in my wash. And it's interesting. It looks to be Damascus steel that's gotten a little rusty. It's also insanely sharp on the inside and seems like it would be incredibly uncomfortable. It's also very small. So I don't rightly know. It looks like there was some attempt to make it nice, but I don't exactly know what's going on with it. I do know that whoever was wearing it probably was getting annoyed at their finger getting cut up, and they took it off and put it in their pocket. So maybe it was something that they bought that day, wore for a little bit, put it in their pocket, or something. But clearly they forgot about it and ended up in my laundry. And I think it's cool. I think it would take a little bit of filing to turn into something you'd wear. And then, of course, it's tiny, at least tiny for me. So couldn't even really get it on my pinky. So yeah, that was an interesting one, and that's how I got that one. This one, I will upload a short for this one. I am very bad at timing my shorts and long form videos at the same time, but I'll make sure to do it with this one because this one was very interesting. I paid $10 for this in the antique mall, and I think what we're looking at is a polished piece of petrified wood. Or maybe gem bone. But it looks more like it's got a wood grain to it. Now, the reason I paid $10 for it was A, I was fascinated by that stone, but B, I'm like, oh, that's gold. Look at that. That's gold. You've got the right shine. You don't have anything coming through. You've got the micro scratching. And then I just looked at it. I'm like, oh, yeah, look there. What's that say? 14 karat. So I thought that was well worth $10. Now, I haven't weighed it yet. So I suppose the question is, what does it weigh? Now, when you're weighing stuff like this, of course, you have your stone. So you have to have a little bit of thought for how much that stone weighs. But most of the weight in this is going to be the 14 karat. And, you know, we'll say we have at least a gram of 14 karat there. And, you know, a gram of 14 karat right now is 60, 70 bucks. I don't know. Gold's sky high and it keeps going up. So that's definitely worth our $10. Plus it's cool. And I'm hoping someone can tell me what that stone is because, yeah, I don't know. What do you folks think? What on earth is the stone that was set into this $10 ring that's made of solid 14 karat gold? Okay. Oh, and this, might as well weigh this one. 5.9 grams. So this is 5.9 grams. I think it's pretty cool. This is a very good example of the kind of thing that you'll get in even a savvy thrift shop or with a savvy antique dealer, because this, I think, was made out of precious metal clay. I think someone molded this out of precious metal clay, and that's how they made it, and they never stamped it with anything. Now, it tested not as 18, but as solid 14 karat. This is 14 karat gold. Cost me 50 cents, and I think it's dang cool. A, and B, I think that's probably the best 50 cents I've spent in a while, to be sure, given how much gold is in the dang thing. I'm really surprised that things like this sort of make their way into the wild. Now, I'd also appreciate anyone who can tell me if you have a comment that this was something other than that precious metal clay. If you're unfamiliar with precious metal clay, you can model things out of the clay, and then you hit them with heat and you burn the clay away or melt the clay away, and what's left is the thing that you modeled in the precious metal. I think it was technical term might be that you're sintering it together. In any case, you can leave a comment if I'm off base there. I'd appreciate it. I've only seen some YouTube videos of people doing it where they model something out and then hit it with a torch, and then you end up with whatever you modeled out. I didn't realize you could do it with such detail, if that makes sense. I have other pieces of the precious metal clay in silver. Yeah, here we go. Didn't know what these were at the time, but yeah, that's what that is. And then this is like a copper plate with the precious metal clay applied to the copper plate, and then a little bit more work done to create a belt buckle. But I think this is the same stuff. I think this was made the same way, but that would be the first piece of gold that I've seen. And I suppose now that I'm looking at this, that kind of level of detail does certainly seem to be possible with this stuff. But yeah, I think that's what we got. In any case, well spent 50 cents. And then this was also a ring that day that was 50 cents. Not sure if it's coral, but it looked for all the world like silver. Maybe resized. I don't know. I'm not entirely certain what's going on with that. But the reason I wanted to show these other rings here, well, that's awesome. I always like to show awesome things. But the reason I wanted to do it was because I wanted to test this also in verified silver. So we're going to go off. We're going to test a sample of these. And we will see if any of this stuff is silver, or, boy, if that would be gold, that'd be awesome. So we will be right back. All right, and I'm back. No real surprises. Not gold. Not silver, not silver. Uh-oh. I did just drop the silver ring. Just a moment. Silver. Very much so. And interestingly, I tested this in a couple places, and it is silver. So, silver and garnet beads. I thought that's pretty cool. Okay, before I finish out here, I promised I would show you this a little bit more, just by itself. So, cool piece for sure. In any case, if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't. Really helps me out. And leave comments on anything. I'd particularly like to have everyone's notion of what that stone is, because it's pretty dang cool. Most importantly, I hope that you were able to learn something in this video that can help you go out and find your own treasure.
Like this, I've been Thomas.